Hi friends, it's Miss Lauren at the Lincoln Public Library. I'm here to show you the craft for kids ages 8 through 12 for this week. This craft is a lot of fun. If any of you guys have ever finger knitted before, then you guys are going to have a blast. And if you haven't, you're in for a real treat because we're going to learn that skill today. So our craft this week is to make these little snakes out of yarn. We're actually going to knit them using our hands. So once you've registered online for the craft, you'll get a kit, which we'll put out in the lobby for you to pick up, and I'll show you what's inside. You will see 2 pieces of yarn that are really long, so each of you will have 2 different colors. And what you want to do to start with is you want to line up the ends of those pieces of yarn, and I'll show you what we'll do with it later, but you want your 2 pieces side by side because we're actually going to knit with 2 strands to make our snake a little thicker. In the bag you'll also find a piece of red thread, and we're going to use that to make the little tongue at the tip of the snake's head. And then finally you'll find 2 little googly eyes that you can put on his face. Alright, so I'm going to turn the camera down so you can see my hands, and I'll explain exactly how to do this. I hope you have a lot of fun. Alright, so now we're ready to try out finger knitting. So this is the first step. What you want to do is you want to take these 2 pieces of yarn that you have. If you want, you can tie a knot in them, but you don't have to. As long as the ends are lined up, you're ready to get started. I'm going to slide our little friend over here, and I'm going to show you what my hand looks like. So I'm going to put out one of my hands, and we're going to be using our 2 fingers right here to do the knitting, okay? So I'm going to put my 2 pieces of yarn between these 2 fingers right here. I'm going to go under my middle finger and around my ring finger. So right now I have 1 loop. Then I'm going to loop it around again. And then I'm going to come back over here and loop it again. So now at this point, as you can see, I have 2 strands on each of these fingers. So that's what you want. And if you want, you can slide the strands closer to the tips of your fingers because that does make it easier to do the knitting. So now to do your first stitch, you're going to grab the bottom strand and pull it over your fingertip, and then pull the end to tighten it up a little bit. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Grab the 2 pieces of yarn at the bottom and pull it over your finger. Then kind of tighten it up. Now we're ready to loop it around again. So you're going to loop it around your ring finger and then around your middle finger so that you have 2 more loops. Then pull the bottom one over the top and do the same on the other side. And each time you can kind of pull on the ends to make it a little bit snugger. Alright, and as you can see, I just looped it again. I'm going to pull it over my finger and pull it over again. And behind your hands, you're going to start seeing your stitches are forming into the body of the snake. So we're just going to keep doing this. I'll do a couple more to show you. So always pulling the bottom strand over the tip of your finger and then looping again like that. Once you've done it a few times, you'll get it right down and you can kind of see, look at the body of the snake that's starting to form. Alright, so keep up with this for a little while. And eventually, you'll have a long piece that kind of looks like our snake here. And I'll show you with a ruler. I made the body of my snake about 10 inches long. So I know my ruler is a little bit dark, but the whole snake is about 1 foot long. And this part of the body is about 10 inches. So once you've done about 10 inches of stitches, now it's time to make the head. As you can see, the head of our snake is a little bit wider. So I'm going to teach you how to make it a little wider. So here's the next step. You still have a strand on each of your middle fingers. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cast on. So we're going to actually start knitting with all 4 of our fingers right here. So here I go. I'm going to loop it over and go over here. So now I have a loop on my pointer finger, and then I'm going to loop back again, and I'm going to put a loop around my pinky. At this point, we're going to do one more stitch with the fingers in the middle because they have 2 loops. And then you'll end up with strands that look like this. So now you have 1 strand on each finger. So now we're going to loop it around these fingers again until each of our fingers has 2 strands. They're touching each other, so it might be a little bit hard to see, but you can see I have 2 strands on every single one of my fingers. So now it's time to make our stitches. And you can start on either side. So I'm going to start over on the left, and I'm going to pull that bottom string over the top and over the tip of my finger. And then you definitely want to snug it up once you finish. And then we're going to do that again. So looping around over this finger, under this finger, over this finger, under this one, and then back around. So we'll go over, under, over, and we're ready to do our stitches. So I'm pulling the bottom over the top, bottom over the top, bottom over the top, and now I'm going to do the last one. And then pull to tighten it up. Not too tight, you don't want to hurt your fingers, but tighten it up. And then you're going to do that 3 more times to make the head. So once you've done that 3 more times, now it's time to close the head and to make it smaller at the end. So we call this casting off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the loop off my pinky and put it onto my ring finger. Then I'll take it off of my pointer finger and put it on my middle finger. We'll see if it fits. All right, so now we have 2 strands. It's time to do a stitch. So we'll go over like that and like this. Okay, we are almost done at this point. We're going to do one more stitch with our 2 fingers in the middle. So go over and over. Do your stitches. And then it's time to cast off again. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the loop from our ring finger and we're going to put it on top of our middle finger. So now we have those 2 strands again. So pull the bottom over the top, and then you're going to be left with just this little ring right here. So what you're going to do now is you're going to pull your remaining yarn through that loop and then kind of pull it tight. So I have a lot of yarn because I didn't make the entire snake, but you won't have as much yarn at the end now. So once you've pulled it through, you can actually cut this extra off right here, okay? So you're gonna end up with a snake that looks like this. All right, so now there's 2 more steps to finish up. In your bag, you also had that little piece of red yarn. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna loop it around some of the threads at the tip of the snake's face. So just right at the end, tie it around, and then you can tie a knot in it to finish it off, and then trim the extra. And then you'll just take your googly eyes, they're adhesive, so you'll peel off the back and stick them right on his face, and then you have this really cool looking little snake. I hope you had a great time putting this together. It's a lot of fun, and don't forget, you can always rewind this video and go back if there's a part that you didn't understand. All right, guys, have so much fun. Bye.